friends, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to let you know that we're going to take a little break from discoveries in mixed media and switch over to discoveries in journal making. And this can be junk journals, sketchbooks, photo albums, pretty much any sort of book that we can make, that we can bind ourselves and basically create ourselves. They won't all be elaborate like this one. I just pulled this one real quick because it was on my countertop, and this is from my trip to Italy last year with Carl. And you can see that I used, what was this? This was, I think, a file folder, and then some beautiful fabric, and embellished it. And so this is what I would consider to be a junk journal because I have authentic ephemera in here, and I also printed out pictures from our trip and put those in here. So it's like a junk, well, it is a junk journal because like all the like menus and stuff that I found in Italy I put in here, and this vintage wallpaper and handmade papers and just all sorts of things. So we're going to learn step by step how to bind these and how to make different books. So I hope you will join me on this exciting journey. I will continue to do my mixed media because I'm absolutely loving it, but I'll be doing those videos on different days. Wednesdays are gonna be my how-to days or my tutorial days that I do for you guys. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's get to it. I'm going to start off this video by sharing with you some of the items that you will need for bookbinding. And I will tell you that you need minimal items for a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. You'll want scissors, you'll want wax thread, any color that you choose. I have a bin of a variety of colors. Got them on Amazon, by the way. An awl. I recommend an awl like this as opposed to an awl like this. An awl like this does not give you any power. Look, you can't really hold it in your palm properly, so you have to hold it like a pencil, and that's just not going to work that well for bookbinding unless you're only doing a few pages. So I do not recommend that. I definitely recommend this. Look at this. It fits right in the palm of my hand, and I can put so much pressure and I can get through so many pages. So I do recommend this one. Just so that you know, on Amazon I purchased my awl and my wax thread in a kit together, and I should have that listed in my description box below. I'll double check and make sure that I do. Hopefully I do. All right, so bare minimum for just getting started would be scissors, awl, thread, and needle. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of the things that you would want for a more advanced, and we're going to do all the bookbinding. We're going to do all of it. Like if it exists, we're going to do it, okay? So I want to share with you some additional items for when we get into some of the more advanced stuff. Of course, you'll need these items. You might want a scoring board if you have one, and a metal ruler is really good. And I want to share with you that one with cork on the back is really good because it won't slide. A metal ruler like this can slide really easily, but this has a little grip to it. So go ahead and find one with some cork on the back. I wanted to show you that I actually ended up getting a 2-pack, and one is small and one is normal 12-inch size. You may also want a bone folder because you can press your pages down. You really want to press them down and compact them as much as you can at the fold. And so you can use a bone folder for that. Now I have carpal tunnel, so I tend to use these. I hold them like this. So you can see how much more room it takes up in my hand, right? And that way I don't have to, because like this I have to squeeze really, it's not comfortable for me. But it probably would be for you. But if you too have carpal tunnel, you could use your scissors and you can press down on your papers that way. So you don't have to have this, but it's a handy tool if you'd like to have it. A utility knife is a good thing to have, especially if you're making a thick book. You'll end up using your ruler to cut through the edges of many pages to make them even. Otherwise, when you fold the papers, those center papers end up sticking out. I don't mind that, but if I want a really precise book and a precise look with a perfect cover, I'm going to want to have to do this. So you can get this kind, but even better yet is more like a box cutter, and I am going to upgrade this to some sort of box cutter simply for the grip. Again, this is more like a pencil, and it's not really helpful for my palm. I use this a lot, but I think for cutting through pages, it might be nice to have something a little bit bigger. You're going to want a cutting mat, something like this. It's got measurements on both sides. Yours doesn't have to have that, but it certainly can. This will protect your desk, and you're definitely going to want that. When we get into the gluing phase of bookbinding, you're going to want a glue brush. You can use a foam brush, but these are more environmentally friendly because they'll last longer. Wash them, reuse them. I wash these and reuse them. You can see that right here. But definitely the bristles, if you take care of them, they will last longer. Again, as we get into our more advanced techniques, you're going to want a press. And I got these on Amazon. They're quick, easy release. Look how easy that was. And then you just squeeze to press. Before I continue on, I want to remind you, you don't need to start off with all of this stuff. You can start off with the wax, the needle, and the awl. All right, that's really all you need. Of course, scissors, but all of us crafters have scissors. That's really all you need to get started. I'm just sharing with you additional things that as we get into the more advanced binding and creating, these are additional items. So sandpaper, you might want some light grit sandpaper. I take these from the garage. My husband has them. How I want to mention to you though, and I've mentioned this before, you might have a sanding block for your nails. You can pick these up anywhere. You know, go to your local beauty supply store, or even probably Walmart even has them. I don't really know. I get my stuff at the professional beauty supply, but you can use one of these too. They're really comfortable to hold. Just hold them like that. Super comfortable, super lightweight. I love that they're squishy, and they're great for sanding. Again, as we get deeper into this, you will find a use for cheesecloth, very inexpensive. I got this on Amazon, but you can pretty much get cheesecloth anywhere. You're going to want to get some PVA glue. In the future, we will probably find wax paper to come in handy. Maybe you already have some of that in your kitchen. Again, don't rush out and buy these things. You may or may not need them. Book repair tape. This is a great tool that we'll be using. It has a smooth surface and it's acid free. So if you're going to make a book that you want to last through the generations, you're going to want to stick with supplies that are acid free. All right, my friends, and when we're really ready to level up, we're going to use some end bands. And you guys, if you look inside of a book, you'll usually see this. This part's flat, and then this part has this little circle on it. Like it's, I don't know. Anyway, you can feel it. I know that you can't see it here. But anyway, those are called end bands. Now that is when we really get into some precision work. And if you want to learn how to make a book that looks like a book, like, you know, like something that you bought at the store, that's when these are going to come in handy. I also have this. This is a 90-degree ruler, and I've been playing with it a little bit, and I absolutely love this thing. It cuts corners for your cover material, and I mean, it's precision, and I absolutely love it. Now, if you really think you're going to get into bookbinding and really dive in and utilize this craft for long-term, you know, gifts and just things like that, you can get yourself a book press. I've been using this even on my coffee dyed papers. I lay them in here, I tighten the bolts, okay, and it presses them flat, and this thing is fantastic. I love it. Okay, so what you can see, I'm sorry, my camera could be up a little higher, but what you can see is there's these bolts here, okay, and these tighten. They loosen and they tighten, and let me show you why. I'm gonna flip this sideways for you. Here hold on a second. That's not making much sense to you. Let me loosen this one up a little bit. All right, we're gonna loosen that up. And now I'm gonna loosen this one up. Okay, now I'm gonna show you what will happen. This is 2 pieces of wood. Did you see the wood open up? So if I loosened it more, it can open up really fat. Like, I don't even know how long these bolts are, but they're quite large. And so you can put your book in here, and then you tighten these down. Oops. You tighten them down and you press it overnight. And I'm going to tell you what, I love this tool. Do not rush out and get one of these. Only seriously, I would say do it if you're serious about, you know, making books and wanting everything pressed. Otherwise, what you can do, lay your book down on your counter and then put some heavy books on top. So you don't need this, but I have found it useful, but you don't need it. You don't need it. Prior to getting this, I used books, and that works fantastic. So you don't have to have the press if you don't want it. Make sure you have some clips on hand. You guys know I love these, but these come in handy, and you know, anything, okay? So, oops, just make sure you have some sort of clips on hand. Let's talk paper now. All right, so if you're creating something that you want to last a long time, use acid-free paper. If you want to make true junk journals, use any kind of paper that you want. If you want to make a junk journal like I did, but that you also want it to last, then just sort of pay attention to the papers that you're using. I have all kinds of papers in here because I have all of the actual photos on my computer. So I'm not worried too much if this doesn't last more than, say, 2 generations. It'll definitely last through my kids' generation, and then beyond that, who knows? But I have the photos elsewhere, and this might last longer. I don't know, but if you are really concerned with that, then make sure you get papers that are acid-free. And again, if you're not concerned, use whatever you want. So this is stationery. I frequently find really pretty stationery at the thrift store, and I'll usually put something on the back, whether it's a gel print, or I stencil it, or I print one of my printable kits on it. So that's a nice option. You don't have to spend a lot of money if you pick it up at the thrift store. And then all of these, I just did these on a Friday Live, but I just wanted to show them to you. All of these are on vintage paper that I got for free. They were given to me, and they're basically like one of them is they're basically pamphlets from like the 70s and 80s. And one of them was like H&R Block pamphlet that I gel printed over. So when you do that, you can, I mean, look at them, they're gorgeous. So you can have some beautiful papers, gel printing, oh, and then whatever this is called, modeling paste. So you can create your own papers to go into your journals. You can also use cardstock. If you would like to create a sketchbook for yourself, you can purchase a sketchbook pad and tear the papers from it. This is an old sketchbook pad. Well, it's a piece of paper from it that I got at the thrift store. So I could actually take more of the papers out of that pad. It only cost me like $1, and fold them and turn that into a new sketchbook. So these are some good ideas for you. You can do the same with watercolor paper and any sort of scrapbook paper, okay? Now I have a love for all different kinds of papers, and so I like to use, I'm starting to mix in rice papers, mulberry papers, and things like that. So those are some options as well, and soon actually I'm going to be embarking on making my own handmade papers. And yes, I will do a tutorial for you, and actually I'm going to do a collaboration on that with my friend Tanya of Side Gig Crafts. For your covers, let's talk covers for a sec. You can use bookboard, chipboard, like this. This was a file folder that I adhered. Wait, was it? No, I think this was a cereal box This was a cereal box that I adhered scrapbook paper to. But that being said, you can use file folders, and if you get the decorative ones, the cover's almost done for you. So again, you could use a cereal box. You could use any kind of box. Something firm if you want a firm cover. If you've been around in the junk journal community for a while, you know that people use Amazon packaging for their covers. The bubble wrap one, so it's like a soft cover with a little sort of a, I don't know, just a nice feel and a nice sound. You can use almost anything. I've done a journal, a completely soft cover journal with about 4 layers of fabric. You can do that. So you can be really creative with whatever kind of cover that you want to make. Now real quick, I want to talk to you about your thread. And a lot of people use something different than wax thread. But I want to share with you why wax thread is important. Waxed linen thread is good because of its strength. It's not going to break. If you use other threads, such as embroidery thread, that can definitely break. This is not going to do that to you. Also, coated thread, it won't fray when you're pulling it through the paper. And you can actually wax your own thread if you wanted to. I got a pack of a variety of colors of wax thread, and I've started making junk journals 4 to 5 years ago. And look, I still have all of this thread. I've never replaced my supply. Starting to get down to the bottom of this one, and maybe a little bit getting down to the bottom of the white, but I mean, it's been 5 years. So, and I didn't pay that much for it. I do know prices have gone up lately, but still, I think it's a good value if you get yourself a little multi-pack. All right, my friends, I have given you a ton of information today. I hope that this is helpful. The next video we will be getting into actually how to create the books, but I wanted to give you some information before we get started on some of the tools that you want to have in your toolbox. And just remember, in the beginning, all you need's your thread and a needle. All right, my friends, thanks for watching. See you soon.